Okay, hi everybody, I'm Avril. I'm from the Cleaner Seas project, which is a grassroots community project, where I like to think of our community as our community here in Bude, but also our whole global community. I'm here to talk really a little bit about my journey, just to share with you how I talk about the environment and how I've engaged the community here and the wider community. My background's design and marketing, so I've just really used the skills that I have, which felt like a very natural thing for me, to talk about these issues. So here we go, different perspective. Here's our globe. From space, Earth looks like a blue marble. 71% of the Earth's surface is covered in water. I'd like you all just to stop and take 2 big deep breaths with me. Everybody in and out. And in and out. 50 to 80% of the oxygen that we breathe comes from the ocean. Hands up, who knew that? I didn't know that until recently, just to let you know. So one of those 2 breaths that you just took was made by the ocean. Now the ocean sequesters carbon. Microplastics are smothering plankton at the very bottom of the food chain. And plankton are responsible for absorbing, I probably should have moved on a little bit, responsible for absorbing carbon, CO2, and producing oxygen. We're killing them with microplastics. So, picking up on some of the comments that Martin was making about, we have to think about carbon when we're thinking about plastics. They are intrinsically linked. We need to think about this problem holistically. I'd also like to talk a little bit about positivity, why we're doing this, why we want really thriving, regenerated oceans, really rich biodiversity. It's really important to remind people why we're doing this, but also to remind people that there's hope. Our seas are full of plastic, but it can be a really, really overwhelming subject for people. And if we get too bogged down with that, sometimes it feels very, very overwhelming. So I'd like you to all believe that we can make a difference. I think that's really, really super important. Who actually does believe that we can? Great. Community action. In running the Cleaner Seas project, we held a wave conference in 2016. You might recognise that fella. Some of you might recognise this lovely lady here and a few others. Ian, who's very involved in the Bude Climate Partnership. Lots of people from our community, from businesses, from Surf Life Saving Club. Martin had just founded the 2-Minute Beach Clean, I think. And I was like, Martin, who can I invite to come to this wave conference? Who's going to really inspire people? And Martin said, Adam Hall at Surf Dome. I spoke to Adam Hall. Adam Hall said, John Koo at Interface. John Koo at Interface told me Professor Richard Thompson at Plymouth University, and they all came. They all came for nothing. They didn't charge us. They gave their time because they believed in this problem and wanted to make a difference. All these people have gone off to do really, really amazing things and continue to be a part of what I do. It's these spheres of influence that continue to ripple out through everything we do. We talk about the plastics issue. I've talked a little bit about that. I'm not going to stay too long on it, but also microplastics and how do we communicate these problems. I was picking up microplastics on the beach. I learned more about microplastics at our wave conference, and that became a slight obsession of mine, really. How do I communicate that? I started giving talks, going to, again, Amanda Winwood came and talked at the conference. She invited me to her event that she holds. I went and spoke. I don't like speaking. I'm not a natural speaker, but I just thought, I'm going to do it. I'm getting a little bit better at it now and a little bit more confident, but at the time, not my comfort zone at all. But I figured if I could just pass on one really interesting piece of knowledge, then that was really worth it. And some really good outcomes have come from those events where people have made a difference in their businesses. If you want to ask me an example, I'd love to share that with you later. I'm a designer, and a really obvious way that I could create awareness and content through our channels was to create artwork and also to connect it to problems. So we've got microplastics in the air we breathe, the water we drink, the food we eat. It's in our bodies, it's in our blood, it's in our heart. You can see how tiny that is compared to my hand. But we can connect these issues back to our everyday lives. But again, it's an interesting way to communicate the problems. And then you get the school involved. So this Bude Haven school, I was giving talks, their FLD day, we're going to do beach cleans, bring in speakers again, Deb, Martin, Claire, all these brilliant people who've got a fantastic voice on the subject. We created this big heart on the beach, and what it taught the students was they had a voice. That got shared at Westminster. So they're in Bude, and they don't always feel like they have a voice, but we could go back and say, you had a voice, you've got a voice. It's really important. And then following on from that, we asked people to create hearts all over the world, and these hearts were shared on our channels from all over the world. Same plastic, same problems, same links between climate and plastic. A Bude refill cup outside number 10. One person or 3 people can make a difference. We saw Michael Gove with a single-use cup when he was Environment Minister, and I thought, well, he needs one of Deb's cups. So we made sure that he was given one when he was visiting Dawlish, and about 2 months later, he appeared on the Cabinet Reshuffle Day with a Bude refill cup and a matching tie. Now, whatever you think of Gove, doesn't matter. And there, they used it for their own PR. It doesn't matter. It amplified the message. It's really important. And within the month, all the Cabinet had them. Oops. I don't know how to go back. Doing grassroots action, being involved in grassroots action has led me to become involved in a business tackling plastics with some other really cool friends who've helped to amplify our message. Again, feel free to ask me questions. I'm going to whiz through. Spheres of influence are really important. If you create one small ripple, that will ripple out and affect lots and lots of people. You all, every single one of you, have a voice, and you can influence everybody else to have a voice. This is just an example of the plastics I pick up on the beach. It's going to be a new campaign that we're going to be engaging community and wider community on. And that's it. And this is why we do it. This is our why. Thank you.